Welcome to Warrior. We're going to start this session lying down in semi-supine. So if you'd like to make your way there, just gently coming down. We'll be here for about 3 minutes or so, so make sure you're going to be comfortable. You may like to have the legs outstretched along the ground. You may prefer to have them bent as I do, with the knees coming towards each other, the feet towards the edges of the mat, and the toes coming in towards each other. The neck is nice and long, the shoulders relax down, and the arms can be just a little way away from the body with the palms up and the fingers gently curled. Lightly close the eyes, soften the forehead, the lips, make space between the back teeth and the tongue resting lightly behind the top teeth. Find space between the shoulder blades, allow the shoulders to nestle down, allow the lower back to soften down. Belly is soft, the rib cage is lovely and open, receptive. Forehead, cheekbones. And the breath gently flowing. Just being with the breath, investigating how the breath is today. Perhaps listening to the sound of the breath. The breath allows you to be here, in the here and now, to be completely present. Now we're gently going to draw the knees in towards the chest. So if you've got your legs outstretched, draw them one at a time so that you're into a semi-supine position. And then we can draw them one at a time in towards the chest and hold either back of thighs or onto shins. Have a little rock there, easing out. We'll have a hand onto each knee and keeping the knees together, glued together, we just circle them around. And then take them in the other direction. And bring those knees to stillness, have a hand onto each kneecap, and we'll take the knees away from each other this time. So they're coming in towards you, then they're going away from you, and then out to the sides. We can reverse the direction. And then bring those knees to stillness, keep them in towards the body and then roll over onto one side. Take the top hand underneath the cheek, the bottom hand wraps around the rib cage. And use that bottom hand then to push into the ground. Come back to the mat if you've come off the mat as I have, and bring yourself down to child's pose. So knees together or apart, the arms down by the sides or ahead of you or underneath the forehead to suit you. So being in child's very grounding, very calming. So we have this sense of being within our bodies, within our breath. Now from here we're going to come up onto all fours. Have padding underneath the knees if you need it. And the hands underneath the shoulders or slightly forward and wider than the shoulders. Navel in, neck long. Be with the breath. Now let's move into cat. Softening belly down, gently looking forward. Drawing navel in. Pelvic floor, gently bringing the chin down to the gaze is grounding. The gaze comes towards the ground. And carry on for a few more rounds then. And eventually we'll sink back into child's pose, following an exhalation. So we start the exhalation, we arch the spine, and then we finish the exhalation into child's pose, ready for your next inhalation. Resting there just for a moment. Okay, then back up onto all fours. We're going to do cat's tail. So just make sure that you can move your foot out to the side and then swishing it behind you without hurting yourself. So we'll take one foot out, doesn't matter which one. Take the gaze to that foot, so it gets a nice flexion in the spine, and then we follow the foot around with the gaze down behind us and then to the other side as we swish it around to the other side. Do that a few times. Warming up hip, warming up back. One more time. And then back to centre. I'm going to do that to the other side, so make sure that you have space on the other side. In my case, that means me changing direction. So take the foot out, do the opposite foot out, and then swishing it around. And one more time. And back to the start, and then come back to all fours. Okay, so then we're going to do a thread the needle of twisting then. So take the right hand underneath, sorry, the left hand, or it doesn't really matter, but let's take the left hand underneath the right shoulder. Bring that shoulder down to the ground, extend that right arm up. Bring the right hand down, push into the ground, swing the left hand through and up. So let's marry that with the breath then. So we'll breathe out, come down to the ground, thread, breathe in, push through the hand, lift up, twist. And again. back to all fours, reset with the navel, the long neck. Take a breath in and then 3 times to the other side, taking that right hand underneath the left, raising the left hand up. Inhale, bring the hand down to the ground, swish around to the other side. Do that again, so 3 times all together. And then back to all fours, a moment in child's pose, releasing. Okay, so we can lift back up onto all fours. Now we're going to come into pigeon pose. So we're going to bring the right knee through next to the right hand. That right foot can stay underneath the right leg, or we bring it underneath the left groin. Stretch that left leg away. So tuck the toes under, really stretch that leg away. And come up onto tips of your fingers so that you're lovely and open in the chest, looking upwards. Breathing. And then lower yourself downwards. Come down to the ground. Spend a moment there. You're stretching into the hips. It's a very grounding position. So we'll come out of this, we'll go into a plank pose and then we'll go to the other side. You do need to have bare feet, by the way, so if you haven't taken your socks off already, then maybe pause and take your socks off. Otherwise we're going to come up onto our hands, stretch the leg out again, so tuck the toes under, stretch the leg out, bring the right foot underneath the right thigh, stretch that leg out, come into a plank pose. So neck is long, so the gaze is towards the ground, so the back straight, your bottom isn't sagging down, it isn't up in the air, so you're making a nice straight line. You're not holding your breath, you're not cursing, and you're not making any faces. So then we just lift the bum up a little bit as we bring that left knee through. Left foot underneath the thigh to begin with. We can stretch that other leg away. Really nice stretch. And then shuffle the left foot underneath the right groin if that's comfortable. Come up onto the tips of fingers, opening chest, gently looking up a little, breathing. And then gently letting go into the ground. Okay, then come back onto hands. Move that foot, stretch away the other leg, tuck your toes under, and then take that left foot back into a plank pose. Okay, now we're going to lower the hips down and make our way to a Sphinx pose. So we have the elbows in line with the shoulders and slightly forward of the shoulders so that the forearms are parallel to each other. We just let the legs rest now for a moment with the heels out to the sides, the toes in. The gaze is along the ground in front of the hands, so the neck is lovely and neutral, and we'll just be with our breath here. Okay, so from here we're going to take the hands back, place them underneath the shoulders, push back, come to puppy dog pose. So hips now remain in the air, we bring the forehead to the ground, forearms to the ground. Use an inhale, lift up. Bring the hips back to the ground. Okay, now we're going to, as we come to the ground, take the hands behind us, interlink the fingers, then towards the base of the spine, and then lift up that top half of the body. Maybe lift up the legs as well and the head. You don't have to lift the legs if you don't want to, if that's just a step too far for you. And then release down. Release the hands. Place the hands on the ground. Lift back up. Come to puppy dog. Take a breath in. Lift up. Let's do that one more time then. We're going to lower the hips down. Take the hands, place them onto the lower back. Interlink the fingers, stretch away. Bend the knees, lift the head. Take the shoulder blades together. Remember to breathe, don't hold your breath. And release. Hands underneath the shoulders, push through. Come back to child's pose this time. Okay. So from child's pose, we stretch the arms out along the mat, tuck the toes under, take a deep inhalation, lift the hips. Up into a down dog position with the navel engaged and the neck nice and long. Have a little mooch on the spot. Keep that engaged navel. And then come up onto tiptoes and lower the heels to the floor. Now take the right hand and bring it towards the left foot. Have a little twist around there. Take the gaze underneath that left armpit. Hold and breathe. And bring that right hand back, place it onto the ground. Left hand to the right foot. Take the gaze underneath that right armpit. Bring that left hand back into that down dog. Gently take the head from side to side, little movement in the neck. Good. Okay, and then bring the knee in. So right knee towards the armpit. Stretch the leg away, but keep the foot flexed so you've got some good integrity going there. Do that a few times. Moving with your breath. You've done 3 to one side, bring the foot back, maybe have another little mooch on the spot, release out a little. And then let's go to the other side. Three to that side, bring the foot down. A little mooch, moochy. Okay. And then we're going to step or jump the feet forward. Come to a forward fold. Now take opposite hand to elbow, elbow. Keep the knee soft. Have a little sway around. Far more gentle warrior than we usually have, as it's the first one of the year and we haven't done one for a wee while. And release the hands to the ground. I'm going to breathe in and come up to a halfway point so you have a nice flat back. And then we come down to the ground, soften the knees. Let's then push through the arms, lift up, come up with the knees bent, bottoms out, lift those arms up, come down to the ground, lift up to halfway, down to the ground. Keep the knees bent, lift that top half of the body up into a chair pose. And I'll do that again. Arms down, lift up to halfway, down to the ground, then up into a chair pose, down to the ground. This time lift up to halfway, bend the knees, touch the ground. Then this time push to the feet and legs, breathe in, really reach up towards the sky, a little back bend there, arms come around, down by the sides. And we'll just come to Tadasana for a moment. Have a pause, have a drink. So Tadasana, feeling into the ground underneath the feet are parallel to each other, 2 or 3 inches apart. Light into the arches, free the toes, so the weight is going backwards a little, into the ball of the foot, along that line there, and then to the heel. But don't lift the toes up, just relax them. Engage your quads, tuck your tailbone under, draw the navel in, that's chest lovely and open. Roll the shoulders back, take the arms down by the sides, lengthen through the fingers, lengthen through the neck, drawn up to the sky, through the crown of the head. Soften the face, find space within the mouth, the eyes, the forehead. Smile and breathe. Let go. Okie dokie, let's move on then. We're going to do 3 rounds of Surya Namaskara A. So we're coming to the short edge of the mat and back into Tadasana. So find that grounding underneath the soles of the feet, that spaciousness into the body, the spine, and into the breath. We'll take a collective breath in and a breath out. Breath in and then reach up towards the sky, a little back bend there as we open up gloriously. Exhale, soften the knees, folding forward and touching the ground. Breath in, lift up to halfway, engage the navel, lengthen the neck. Exhale, soften the knees, come back, place the hands onto the ground and step or jump back into a plank pose. Now we're going to soften the hips down, open the chest, release the heels a little as we come to Cobra, but just look ahead of you, don't go up towards the sky, keep the neck nice and long. And then tuck the toes under, lift the hips, engage the navel, nice long neck as we come to a down dog position. Lengthen through the hips, through the back, keep the breath flowing lovely, deeply. Now we're going to either step or jump forward with an inhalation. Nice big inhalation. Step or jump forward. Exhale. Inhale up to halfway. Exhale down. Inhale, lift up with those arms, bring the body up, embrace the heavens above. Exhale, soften the knees a little as you come down. Touch the ground. Inhale up to halfway. Exhale down, place the hands on the ground, step or jump back into your plank pose. And then as we lower the hips down to the ground, we can just have a nice inhale as we go to cobra, tuck the toes under. Exhale, come back to down dog. Holding that for a moment or two. Little pause. Be with the breath. Finding peace and rest in this mountain pose. So not mountain pose. It is called mountain pose in some traditions. We call it down dog. Now with an inhale, bend the knees, step or jump through. Exhale as we come to that forward fold. Inhale as we come to centre. Exhale as we come down, touch the ground. Inhale, bend those knees, lift up. Embrace the sky above. Exhale, coming down, touching the ground. Inhale up to halfway. Exhale, come down, and then step or jump back. Plank pose. Now rather than bringing the hips down, we're going to lower down with those arms. Down to the ground, then up into a cobra. Tuck the toes under, lift up the hips. Down dog. Be with your breath. Now step or jump through. Come to halfway. Down to the ground. Breathe in. Push to the legs, lift up, opening up the heart centre. Exhale, bring the hands together, draw them down to the heart centre, back to Tadasana, release the arms down by the sides. Pause with your breath, your body, a moment to take the awareness deep down through the feet to the ground. And of course, a time for some refreshment if you need it. Okay, to the front of mats then. Nice and tall. Breath in, lift up. Breath out, fold forward. Breath in to halfway. Breath out, fold forward, hands down, step or jump back into plank. Lowering down, chaturanga, up to cobra. Keep hips on the ground. Chest open, lift up into down dog. Now we're going to step the right foot through. Keep on the toes of the left foot. Breath in, lift up. Keep the arms down by the sides to begin with. So we can take a wider stance there. And then we lift those arms up, bring them palm to palm. If the balance is okay, we can lift the gaze up as well. Free those front toes. Keep the toes soft so you can ground through the rest of the foot. And then open up the arms as you bring that back foot down to the ground. Stretch through the inner thigh of that right leg. We're opening up the arms to side. We're in warrior two. We're checking that knee, making sure it's not going beyond that ankle, that it's not falling in. And then we take the gaze down that middle finger and we're with the breath. Okay, now this right hand is going to float down. And we lift that top arm up. The top arm could rest onto the waist if that's better for you. deep breath in, lift up. We're going to come back to that first pose that we did. It's not warrior one, it's into this Ardha Chandrasana pose, also known as the equestrian pose. Bring the hands down to the ground. Slide the foot back into a plank pose. Lower yourself down. Lift up into cobra. And then into downward dog. Pause for a moment. Now we're going to draw that left foot through. Come onto the right toes and then lift up. Lift up the arms, maybe palm to palm, maybe taking the gaze upwards. Sinking those hips down a little if that's okay for you. Checking that front knee, of course, is behaving itself and that we're not clinging on with the toes. Now let's open up into warrior two. Bring that back foot to the ground. Open up through the inner thigh. Stretch the arms, look down that left finger. And then the left hand comes down to the ground. Apologies for my back to you. That right arm stretches up. But you're not leaning into those fingers. They're not, you're not, they're not on the ground particularly, maybe just lightly feather dusting the ground. Now next inhalation, bring the shoulders around. Lift back up into that first pose that we did. Oops. Balance went a little then. And bring those hands to the ground. Slide the foot back into a plank pose. Down into through your chaturanga, down to the ground. Up with a breath into our cobra. Tuck the toes under. Lift up into down dog. And then step or jump through. Take a deep inhalation, lift all the way up. And we'll have another rest. We'll come back palm to palm through the heart centre and then back to Tadasana. So it's our first one for a little while, so we'll just take a pause. Take it easy. Okay, so we're going to do a traditional warrior next. Okay, so we're going to do a traditional warrior. Nice and tall in your Tadasana. Breath in as we lift up and open up. Breath out as we come down to the ground, touch the ground. Breath in up to halfway. Breath out, lower down. Place the hands on the ground, step or jump back to plank. Lower down to the ground. Lift up into cobra and into down dog. Pause in downward dog. Draw that right knee towards the armpit and stretch the leg away. Bring the right foot through. Both feet onto the ground, lift up to warrior one. So arms either at the heart centre or overhead, but just be careful of those shoulders, make sure they don't lift up. Engage the navel, make sure the knee's behaving itself, it's over the ankle or slightly towards you. Be with breath, be with your drishti point, the point of concentration. Next in breath, we're going to open up to warrior two. So you move your feet accordingly. Stretch through the inner thigh of that front leg, make sure that knee is not falling in. Shoulders down, nice and upright in the body. Next inhalation, left hand drops down, right arm lifts. Exhalation, we come down to that side angle pose again. So either the forearm to the thigh, or we're just letting those fingers go towards the ground, but we're not resting the hand onto the ground. This top arm lifts the shoulder back. Maybe the gaze up towards the ceiling, towards the sky. And a deep inhalation, lift up, bring the shoulders around, and we're going to come to warrior three. So right leg is a standing leg, we're going to lift that back leg up, arms either out to the sides or up by the ears. And we're aiming to make a nice T shape, so we're not ducking the head down, just aiming. Now bring that foot back, bring the hands down to the ground, step back into plank, lower gently down, lifting up. Tuck the toes and lift the hips up. Be with the breath for a moment. Now the left knee is coming towards the armpit, then stretch that left leg away. Bring the foot through into warrior one, lifting up the feet in the right place for you, arms in the right place for you. I'm just going to change my direction, you stay as you are. Deep, meaningful breaths. And then open up to warrior two. Move the feet, stretch through the inner thigh. Take the gaze down that middle finger of the left hand. Tall in the body, shoulders down. Now drop the back hand down, lift that front arm, you breathe in. And then breathe out, bring the forearm to the leg, or bring the fingertips down to the ground, that back hand lift. Top hand lift, I should say. Now take a breath in, lift up, bring the shoulders around. Back leg lifts up, bring the arms to shoulder height. Bring that foot down. I'm going to lift the arms up, then bring them down. Step back to plank. Lower down. Lift up to cobra. Tuck the toes under, back to downward dog. Now bring the knees to the ground and bring the hips down towards the heels. Sink down into child's pose. Okay, now we're going to walk the hands in and come up. All right. So just before we go to do some final stretches, let's just come to seated position. We're going to have the knees bent, the feet in front of us. And nice and tall in the back, shoulders down. Now with an inhale, just lift the feet off the ground. Make sure we're not rounding the back. We're nice and straight in the back. If you want to stretch the legs out, then do, but keeping the knees bent is fine. You just don't want to see this happening or any straining or any holding. It just, that's a place that suits us, okay? Keep breathing, don't hold your breath. Then bring the feet to the ground, hug the knees in towards the chest. And then from here we're going to just extend the left leg out, cross the right foot over the left leg, place the right hand onto the right knee or tuck the knee in. Take this other arm, right arm right around behind you, and then we're nice and tall, spacious in the spine, flexing the left foot, draw the toes towards you. Lengthen the neck so we're tall in the back. And then gently back to the front. And then stretch the legs out, draw the other foot in and over. Tuck that knee in towards the body, we're nice and spacious, drawing the right toes in. Take the left fingertips behind, tall into the spine, tall into the neck. Deep breaths. And then gradually around to the front. Stretch that leg away. So forward fold then, so let's just bend the knees a little bit, open up the chest, gently fold down. Keep the neck in line with the rest of the spine and maybe find that you can stretch the legs out a little more. Perhaps take the gaze down towards the legs or just along the floor, but please don't tuck the chin in or lift it up. And take an inhale, lift up. Pop your warm things on. We're just going to have a final stretch out on the ground, but I don't want you to get cold. And make sure that you have the things that you need for relaxation close by. And then make your way down so you're lying onto your backs. Your neck is nice and long. Nestle the shoulders down. We'll draw the right knee towards the chest, holding back a thigh or onto shin. Stretch that left leg away. Hold the knee in. Now keeping the knee held in, we're just going to raise that left leg up, keep the foot flexed. Inhale, exhale, lower it down. Keep the navel engaged as you do that. Just come so you're hovering a couple of inches off the ground and then do that another couple of times. And this right knee will circle it around. And then to the way. Let it come out to the side, a little stretch, stretch, stretch. Bring it back. Place that foot onto the ground. Draw the left knee up. Catch hold of back or thigh or onto shin. Stretch the right foot away. And the right foot is flexed. Next inhale, raise that right leg up. Exhale, lowering it towards the ground, hovering just 2 or 3 inches above the ground. And 2 more times. And that foot comes to the ground. Place a hand onto the knee. And we're circling around. And the other way. Knee comes to stillness, and we take that knee out to the side. Stretch away, stretch, stretch, stretch. Bring that knee back, place both feet onto the ground, so you're back to semi-supine. Take hold of opposite elbows. And we'll just, with an inhale, take the arms overhead. Exhale, bring them down. Do that another couple of times. Inhale overhead. Exhale down. And again. This time when you bring them back to the chest, just see which arm is towards you and then swap them over so the other arm's on top, and then we'll do the same again. So breath in, overhead, breath out, back down. Now this time when they come down, to let them come out to the sides. I'm going to twist now, so either keep the feet on the ground or bring the knees towards the body, whichever you prefer. We're going to twist and hold. So just letting them go over to the right, and the gaze can go down the left. And then just relax, release the jawline, release the eyes, forehead, the shoulders. Use a breath in to tuck the knees in, come back up to centre, and then to the other side. And tuck the knees in, up to centre. Okay, and then getting ready for relaxation. So covering up warmly, making sure that you're going to be comfortable. If you like having your legs raised, then do so. Maybe onto a chair or perhaps up the wall. Take your time. You might like to use an eye covering. Just making sure you're going to be warm and comfortable. So as you settle down, the legs in the most comfortable place for you, somewhere where you can let go. Let go of muscles, soften toes, soften hips, small of the back, let the belly go now. Widen chest, settle shoulders down. Arms in a comfortable place for you. Releasing upper arms and forearms. The hands soft and open. Lengthen the neck. Soften the face. Space between the back teeth. Tongue resting lightly behind the top teeth. Eyes softly closed, forehead smooth. And the breath softly, smoothly coming and going. Allowing the ground to hold you. Tighten up both feet. So really tighten up both feet, tense them up, and then release them. Soft into toes, into soles of feet, into tops of feet. Both feet. Tighten up the calves of both legs, holding that tension, tight, 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 and then nestle down, soften, let go. So the feet are soft, the ankles and the lower legs. Tighten up the thighs, thigh muscles, tight, 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 tense, 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 and release. Let them go. Feel those thigh muscles falling away from the bones. Knees relaxed. And tighten up the buttocks. Hold the tightness in the buttocks. Hold it, hold it, hold it. And then release. Soften them down into the ground. They have almost a liquid texture. Now tense up the buttocks, the thighs, the calves, calf muscles even, the feet, and hold that tension, hold it, keep it going, keep it going, keep it going, and then let it go. Let them both go, legs, buttocks, feet. Oh. Bring the awareness to your hands and tighten up both hands, either fists or stretching away or a bit of both. Hold the tension in the hands and then relax, release and soften. Tense up the forearms. Hold the tension in the forearms. Hold it. And let go. And then tension in the upper arms. So hold the tension in the upper arms. Hold it. And then relax. Now both arms, both hands. Tense up, tense. And then let go. Releasing both arms into the ground. Both arms, both legs. Now draw in the belly, the pelvic floor. Draw into the back of the waist. Tighten up there. Tight. And then release. Relax and let go. Tighten the rib cage. Hold that tightness in the rib cage in the chest. And then soften and release. Space between the shoulder blades. Space between the ribs. And then tighten up the shoulders. Tighten up the collarbones, tops of the shoulders, the back of the shoulders. Hold. And let go. And once you think you've let go, then really let go. Really, really soften. Tighten up the face, screw up the face, there's nobody watching. Lips, cheeks, nose, eyes, forehead, ears, scalp. Tight, 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 tight. And then relax. Now take a deep breath in. Then open the mouth wide and just allow the body to sink down. And the breath to gently flow in and out. Gently come back to the breath. Maybe taking a few deeper breaths. Perhaps gently just taking the tongue around the mouth, feeling into the ground underneath you, the sensations. Twiddling toes, taking the tip of the thumb across tips of fingers. Perhaps gently take the head from one side to the other, easing out. Or maybe just having a gentle stretch if that's what is needed right now. Eventually, perhaps rolling over onto one side. When you're ready, softly make your way up to sitting. Rub the hands together, create warmth. Cut them over the eyes when you're ready. Allow the eyes to open into that warm dark space before letting the light very gently trickle in. And draw the hands then palm to palm to the heart centre. Om Shanti.